Hello and welcome once again to a very special episode of WoRs Going On. I'm Arcturus and I'm here on the Forerunner server to bring you the latest in what's going on in Watcher of Realms. As ever, I'm joined by Sebastian Keynes, and we've also been joined today by Mystical to have a look back over 1 year of WoRs Going On and how the game has changed over that time. As ever, this is a community-based podcast, so please do remember to like and subscribe and get involved down in the comment section. Hit that bell icon, share it with everyone, and help grow the channel. We're on about 450 subscribers at the moment. I am still promising to hand out some W Gold when we get to 500 subscribers. Hi guys, thank you very much for joining me on this very special episode.
Thanks for having me.
1 year.
1 year.
1 year of us reviewing the game, giving our thoughts.
Yeah.
Whether it was the good, the bad, and the ugly. But yeah, so let's start with what happened, what was happening about a year ago, and then let's bring it back to today. Now, we'll see what you guys sent us, but I think we're seeing more ugly than good these days. But this whole Skystone thing, I think, is throwing a wrench into the whole development thing.
Quite possibly. Right. So the first thing we were talking about a year ago was the fact that the Demon Soldiers and the Demon Crusade had just been introduced as a new feature in the game, and it was going to have all of this new. There was a new opportunity here. You could come in. I mean, it's still here. It's still in the war room. And there was the opportunity to work through these stages. They had challenges. This was how you originally got the Fool before he became a dropped hero. And then they did nothing with it, really. It was a real shame because this was a series of fun challenges. They really had something in these stages with the challenge maps and that Azor build.
I really liked it. I thought this was fantastic. I couldn't believe it until you said you were doing 1 year of this. I went back and watched the first one. I couldn't believe it's been sat there saying coming soon for a year. And that was shocking.
But yeah, it was I mean, this was really fun little piece of content, and it was a nice way of introducing the Demon Soldiers and the Demon Soldier mechanics. And I still swear when they were doing the new suggested content, they should have taken my idea for the GvG traps, because that would have really mixed things up a bit. I'm not sure it would have. I think the only thing that can really fix it is multipathing, but even then, you're going to run into challenges, especially in the top guilds. But I think this was a fun way of introducing hero mechanics to demon mechanics to lots of different people and letting them experiment in a sort of a way that isn't the standard maps against your allies. And this was this was something different. It was the first time that people really getting to play with it. But yeah, they've just not done anything with it, which is a real shame.
Okay, so in terms of the aspect of having this type of, especially when it came to the traps. So right now, the setup of GvG is essentially as to who has the highest BP, who can farm the most, get the Demon Soldiers. I know that they've introduced now mechanics where they're giving you access to those Demon Soldier shards a little bit quicker, right? Especially for the newer accounts to try to catch up and get the level 5s and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but one of the things that with that mode, in that trap mode, that the thing that I was expecting for a PvP type format, instead of what we have right now, which is just a direct path, direct mode. If you can crash it, you'll be okay. That given that they had this dual, like split, like you had to devise a way to set Demon Soldiers to go to one side and then go to the other. To me, that was screaming more of a co-op mode, and that's what I was kind of envisioning things, but it didn't turn out to be that. So they decided to go the other direction, or what we now see, and then they modified it, and they just turned it into a whale fest. And
Yeah.
that is the unfortunate part, right? With any type of PvP, that it does turn to just having the top 1% of the accounts be able to really conquer the content as it stands. Now,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you're
I mean,
if you're talking
that is
about no, I was
go
just
on.
saying, if you're talking about expanding on this, they could definitely have a seasonal rotation, just like the Tower of Deception. Change the map, change the design, and just throw in a couple of rewards. And if people want to go through it, they go through it.
Yeah, I mean they've got the hook there. The coming soon is still there, so there is an opportunity to let people, for them to do more with this at some point. But I know that there are a lot of people who still feel that they missed out on this as an opportunity, and I still think it's a bit of it's a shame they haven't developed it further.
But newer accounts do still have it, and they do
Yeah.
try to go and clear it, right? So they can claim those rewards. But then after that is done, it's like afterthought,
Yeah.
There is no reason for me to come back to it again.
Yeah, because
Are you getting
previously,
suggestion in or anything?
I don't recall. I think it has been raised, but I don't think it's.
Dev insights about it, so I don't know if one's been put in or the devs just ignore it, because you never know what's been put in and what the devs answer can be two very different things.
Developer over the last, I would say, 3 months, developer insights, especially when it comes to suggestions, let's start there. When it comes to suggestions, people are just crying more about, we want a harder content, we want more end game content. Where is this coming? We want more, like another level of Void Rift. Where is more levels of the epilogue coming along? And then the gear rates come in. They never really. I don't think that they ever really were saying, "Oh, we're gonna increase the levels of gear rates." They were more focusing on the gear dungeons, right? And
Yeah.
we were expecting more gear dungeons because they had said, no, we have more than one version, especially after the two that were released. And then we haven't seen that yet. We just got thrown on the gear rates. And they didn't change too much there. They probably changed the drop rates a little bit, but they're just making harder content because that's what people want. So
Yeah.
in terms of them focusing on that area, things like this just falls off. And based on some of the previous episodes that we've done, we have this population that sometimes we don't really take into account, where you and I extensively talk about Arena and how people don't like doing it and try to avoid the content. But there is this section of players that don't like this Demon Soldier gameplay. And so they are the ones that also GvG. I don't think that we have a greater percentage as those that avoid Arena, but some of them don't like to focus on this. And so the end game players say, okay, we're happy, or we'll take GvG as it is, the standard right now, but we want more here. And so that's where the developers then go, let's go that direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I can see your point there. The fact that they've got to try and keep the people who are spending engaged, and obviously, if people want the people who are spending the most money are spending it to do farming, or they're spending it to get the greatest single target arena heroes or whatever, then that's where the developers will be interested in putting things to encourage people to spend more time doing that. And obviously, as you point out, Skystone has got a point. They want to have those retention numbers in not only like how long people are, how many people have downloaded the game, but how long people are staying playing the game. So harder content means that, or new map stages mean that people are spending more time in the game because they're trying to beat these levels and push in those levels. So it is probably all linked into that to show, yes, look at our numbers, But yeah, it's a shame because I did like the the demon challenges.
Look at the patience that is required to do something like 22, 23, and 24 right now. When I was told the fastidious cleared 323, and I said, did he stream it? And then somebody told me, yes, he did. And when I went to his page and I looked at that particular stream, 7 hours and 37 minutes. That is a lot of patience. And he had to do it with Lady Alexandra.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was his choice. But he took 7 hours of his time to clear 23. He didn't even touch 24. So clearly, yes, the developers, like you said, are trying to, in a way, analytically, trying to force you to stay in the game as much as possible these days, because they need the data. They're probably trying to push for funding again, which they don't need it. I mean, BitDance on its own, it's a money-making business. And unless they're just saying, no, Moontain, you're on your own, we're not going to give you portions of our development or of our profits, then yeah, I can understand that. But there is 7 hours to clear a piece of content. Just seems to me like they just purposely making this stuff just so abhorrently difficult, so people have to continuously grind it and try to clear it.
It certainly felt like 7 hours when I was trying to clear 322, when I was trying to re-record it with Power of Dominance off. It took a hell of a long time because it's just that bloody evolution strike with the AoE and the damage over time is it's just devastating. Anyway,
well, I can tell you
yeah.
from my experience with 222 in the way that I decided to do it is that I was trying to do it with shields and without Ferssi. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I cleared it. But here's the thing is as when I present something, I try to do it at least twice, because then I know it's not an RNG thing, right? That I just might got lucky because somebody tries to replicate it and they can't get to it, then you know it's an RNG fest. So I was trying to at least do it again, similar way, and it was not happening. It was like 3 hours later, I was like, okay, no, I gotta put this away. I'm not even gonna touch it anymore. That strategy might have worked at one particular time, but maybe you just need that one clear. But I was just like, okay, if you have Ferssi, it might make it easier. But if I do this for 22, I don't think it may carry to 23 and 24. So it's kind of going back to the drawing board. Is Ferssi really needed to clear this thing kind of deal?
I have to say, I copied Mystical's strategy for 22, and it works for 23.
Thanks.
And I've seen a Russian guy use an almost identical strategy for 24. So that is. I've now got the video. I just need to analyze my heroes against his gearing and go, okay, yeah, I can do this now. But
what were you using AoE mages? What was the strategy that with Ferssi?
I'll let him talk.
Sadie, Ferssi, and then damage-wise, I didn't need that much. Damage-wise, most Xena is absolutely fantastic. If you've got her, you can put her down. She will wipe out a wave of those mobs quite happily. So damage-wise, you don't need that much to push out damage. It's much more of a healing fest more than anything else, which is the same as I found with Gear Raid 322 as well. I found more of an issue with having to do the healing than I found doing the DPS. I found that much harder, but I think that's the way they're pushing the game. So whether we're going to see more healers come in now or greater healers, or like you were playing around with shields, whether they're going to come back into the game where we have to use shields or something like that, I don't know. But Fersi's law unto himself and maybe slightly overpowered. But it'd be nice to see more epics come in, maybe not as powerful as him, but come in with like a lesser degree of that AoE reduction damage for everyone.
That was pretty much the point that War Guide made in his video this week about the Ferssi problem. And the fact that his skill is just so unique and is now being required in so much content because AoE damage is much harder to deal with, that the dev solution to any big problem at the moment is massive AoE damage. We've had guys on the DSC, on the Dragon Slayers Discord going, I can't do anything in Abyss because I'm lacking Aelin and I'm lacking Ferssi. So I'm feeling gated at the moment.
I've got Ferssi, but I haven't got Aelin, so you know. And they're apparently not hard champions to get hold of, but I mean, it's RNG whether you get them or not. I don't mind a champion. I don't mind working towards an ability, but why does it have to be that one champion that's got it? You need various champions to have that ability over various levels. If Fersi's going to be best in the slot, then that's absolutely fine, no great shakes. But you need other champions that you can slot in there that maybe aren't as good, that you need better gear on, or you know, you have to be more precise with your timings on how you're going to do things. That's not such an issue. But when you have the one champion that can do one ability that's required, that is going to create some sort of issue for the player base.
And the fact you don't actually need him to be actively healing, you just need him on the field.
So, yeah, he just needs to be there, just needs to turn up.
Yeah.
A little bit of healing, a little bit of inspiration, which is key. But yeah, his big thing is just reducing the damage you get from the scream and the stomp, and yeah. And that is the unfortunate part about things. And there is a reason why we have a Sulkaden banner this weekend as well.
Oh yeah.
So this is So I mean, they know it. And right before we started recording, they just released the recommended lineup for the Mother of Crows. And what do you see? A5 Iovar and Lady Alexandra. And it was like, that was a big middle finger to the community saying, oh, go get this arena hero from our our most horrible gameplay mode that we have right now in the game.
I stuck in an in-game suggestion about Lady
it's
Alexandra.
like,
it was more of a joke than anything else. But I did ask the question, as she's now top tier for PvP, or sorry, PvE and Guild Wars, will there be Apex coins dished out in them? And people like that, oh no, you can't do that. No, don't do that. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I mean, so bringing it back to sort of like what they've done in Arena in the last 12 months, which is one of the other topics we were going to talk about, is the fact that they've introduced this hero who is gated to the very top levels of Arena, and it's becoming increasingly hard for it unless you've got her to compete for her. So it's becoming really frustrating for everyone else. I mean, like, I'm definitely not the strongest a player in Arena. I'm not a massive spender in game. I spend buy the pack here and there, but I'm not spending the packs like to get every week. And this means that I'm just falling behind the curve when it comes to awakenings on these top heroes, and so I'm struggling to compete. And it's the chance of me getting her and making this content accessible where she is almost required, because I know a lot of people found the Tower of Deception really challenging the later levels if you didn't have access to her. So there's a lot that she's becoming so powerful for, and because of her unlimited range outside of an ultimate, unlike Idril, that she's devastating.
So one of the things that I don't think they appreciated or that they took it into account was when all the whales were let's compete. Let's try to push up. Let's try to finish an Apex Overload so we can get as many coins. And now we're not only getting her, but now we have to go chase the awakenings. So we're going to grind the arena that way. So essentially what became was, especially with how they changed things, they pretty much said, okay, now for those of you that have Lady Alexandra, now you're going to have a bigger benefit and you're going to be able to stay up top. And it then pushes all those that did not have her, right? Or that did not push as hard before. And what's happening right now, in Muntan does not want to acknowledge this, but what's happening right now is that a lot of the whales are they're a little bit discontent with the game. So how do you sell an account? Well, you need Ingrid, you need Prettius, and now you need Lady Alexandra. And if you can show that your account has an Awakened 5 Lady Alexandra, it'll sell better. You'll get more from it. So they're trying to get pushed up. So this is where all that boosting is coming from. Whether you get the top one avatar or you just stay in Apex Overlord, right? So then you get more coins. And then you're able to sell the account, and then it just keeps recycling. So that's the problem they have right now. And they don't seem to be willing to go ahead and fix it, because one way that they could do it, if they wanted to, is give Apex coins for wins in Plat 3 and increase the amount of Apex coins that you get for winning in Overlord.
Yeah.
Because right now, you're only getting 100 for 10 wins, and you have to win, right? If you lose, you don't get squat for participating. And I know we're going to come back to it, but they're introducing a new arena mode, real-time arena, and there are no Apex coins inside there. So what's the purpose?
Yeah, absolutely. It's it feels like they've missed an opportunity here. I mean, on Forerunners, he's losing yet another battle. But I mean, I'm in just outside the top 100, so it's not a massively active population, and
No.
I'm in Plat 3. That doesn't feel right. I mean, I shouldn't be in Plat.
Get Lady Alexandra if you stay in Plat 3.
Decades probably, because it's only like 200 to go. It's
you only get 200 coins a week if you stay in Plat 3. He would have to push the Overlord to get the 1,000, I think, on the weekly. And then you want to make sure that if you can, to finish an Overlord during the seasonal reset, so you get the additional coins. So
200.
I mean, most of the audience that is tuning in, they don't have this problem here that we have here in Forerunners, because yes, in Forerunners there is a point deflation system that is being ignored, and you don't really get into Apex unless you're the one that's just consistently winning and consistently grinding it out, and you actually need more tickets to get into Apex in this server. And by the time the thing resets, we only have about 150 players to finish on Overlord or above. And that is because of the participation. So, like he said, if you try to push with a regular account, you are going to be encountering teams that you are not going to be able to beat in high Plat 3. So right now for Arturos, he's hoping, for those of you watching or listening, he's hoping that enough people push up so then he can try to sneak into Overlord right now.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Looking at something. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I've got a reasonable AoE DPS, but I mean, I pushed it in the anti-air because I've got a really strong anti-air team. And now I then pushed into the fact that I was up against like A4 Valderons. This is not a standard account. That's so pretty whaley stuff there. And so that's that is my life at the moment in Arena.
So given that this is kind of a retrospective into how things have changed over the year, we have gone from, it was kind of I think at the time it was the Arena feeling with, okay, so Valderan dominated this particular mode, but then it was Ingrid's prettiest type of deal. They decided, okay, let's start modifying the monsters a little bit. Let's start giving them healing, magic resistance, that kind of scaled back Ingrid's, power in Arena. So people started to have to rely on other teams. And then the Piercers kind of came back into anti-air again. And if you have a Lady Alexandra, you're going to be able to dominate that aspect of it. Single target now is all Valderan, and it's pretty much it, right? And you're going to have a higher chance of success if you have Valderan. And for AoE, well, it kind of still Ingrid in a way, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you can pair her up with the right
Ares,
heroes.
If you can get an Ares and a Talon out, then you've got a really solid team. But it's a mess.
So but essentially what they said, the way that they designed it is, instead of being like one particular comp can possibly dominate Arena as a whole, they then went to the direction of one hero for this, 2 heroes for this one, 1 hero for this one. That's it. Good luck, folks. And if you can get some Apex coins out of it, we'll wish you the best. That's the evolution so far of Arena.
Yeah, but they have finally moved out of chaotic season. So, you know, yay, devs, congratulations. Arena is no longer in beta. So, points there.
Yeah, but do you think they'll ever move the Arena to be, this is Apex Overlord as the top 10%, for example, and Overlord will then be the top 25% or something like that, as opposed to you need this number of points to get up there?
No, because then if you're really clever, you don't actually have to play, and you can get loads of rewards. And the devs don't want that. So they're gonna force you to play the mode one way or another. They're gonna come up with a method to make you play.
Not only that, though, given the deficiencies of auto fight right now, and this is something that I actually learned over the last week on talking to people about anti-air arena, is that once you start climbing into, at least in the global server, you start climbing to the higher levels of Overlord in Apex, you have to manual on offense. You can't just auto fight it, right? The timings they get screwed up, and sometimes if the defense clears things a little bit too quickly, it kind of throws off the offensive timing. So you have to do it all in a particular way, especially right at the beginning, right? So then when you have to manual, you're going at 1x, and you have to grind it out. So it takes 4 minutes to go through the whole process because I keep timing it, right? So if you have to do that individually, for every fight, you're looking at an hour investment just to try to clear 3 pages.
Yeah.
So they are purposely inflating the time that you have to spend in game to be able to do what you want to do at the end game level.
Okay. But they have finally got introduced gear lock. So, you know, again. Not everywhere. I mean, gear raids are now outstanding. They've done it for gear dungeons and it works. They've done it for arena, which was the point we were raising this time last year, saying they haven't got it for arena, and it really hurts. It specifically hurt me pushing gear dungeon because I always had to keep my best gear in arena. So now they've done that. So that's points to the devs for that. It took them a while, but they got there, and they've done it for GvG over. You can get it's a more effective gear lock, and you can do it over a bigger period of time. And it's easier to manage, but it's still not perfect. And even then, the gear lock for gear dungeon was a little bit temperamental when it was put in, and the gear lock for faction trials was a little bit temperamental when it was put in. So
no, sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, let's if we want to carry that point that you're just making about making this quality of life features accessible here, let's go to Honor's Gauntlet and how to design this thing, and then why isn't these QoLs available here? Because I went and looked, and I think the first stream that I did on this was almost 7 months ago, if I want to say, if I saw it correctly. So within that time, not only did I publish a video saying, here are my recommendations on how you can change this to make it more appetizing, and not only that, after they revamped it with the passive commander skills.
Yeah,
I sent in another, right? And it's like, here's what's missing. Here's why people are not going to be excited about it. Here's why they might be possibly excited about it. But here are some of the things that you're going to need. All right, so let's talk about the roster. So here is, we have a roster of that we can make 21 heroes be available to try to, get into each one of the stages. It's randomized. So if people don't know that, when you click match, not only do you get a random opponent, but you get the randomized mode. So you either go to random, AoE, or single target. All right.
Yeah.
That's right. But you can't. There is no particular roster pick ban face mechanic that a lot of gacha games have. You're already kind of dictating to the game. These are the up to 7 heroes that I want to bring into this battle, and then they're locked off from you be able to use them on the other two. So part of the recommendation was, all right, so if you are going to release this, have gear presets saved, because it's going to be intolerable to come in every week and make sure that 21 heroes are gear and have their artifacts. Right? And I was surprised. And this is why I was kind of irritated a little bit when I recorded my warning to people as to what to expect. Is the response that I got back is, we're making it available for you to bring 21 heroes. You don't need 21 heroes. But knowing how this plays out, sometimes you need to plug and play, because if you're just going to try to plug the hole in some of these modes, it's not going to work well. You're going to get sniped off, or you're going to get bombed off, especially if you don't have healing. So I was surprised at the response. I don't know if it was somebody that's just did not particularly know how the game was being played or how it needed to be played. But for me to get that type of response was really surprising. So I know that one particular strategy some people were using is just gearing 2 lines, and if they got picked on the other one, they would just force quit and then get matched again. So when I saw that in chat, it's like, that's not how this is supposed to be. This is supposed to be played. It's bad design. And that's why I said, I think a ban face, selection ban face mechanic would be better than having to dictate you having this many heroes to be geared. I don't know. That was my thought at the time. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I don't know how much you guys play it. I know that, the windows increased from 4 hours to 12. But even at 12 hours, when I was trying to record and trying to find the match because I wanted to show people the map, nobody was matching. It was frustrating. So that's probably part of what played into that as well. But it's just, overall, I understand that might have that the developers think that this game needs this type of real-time, mode. But if they truly do think that, this type of PvP is not it. The co-op mode, the PvE stuff that you showed us, that's it. That's what people want.
The co-op mode was really, really good. It was really fun. I think I did battles with both of you when that was live. And it was good. It was a real challenge, and you could go in, you'd have a go, and you go, okay, so that didn't work, and then you like have a chat and go, okay, so maybe if we try this team, and I'll bring a Carnelian and add a bit more healing across the board, and you could strategize and then go again, and you'd get better. You might not get better. You might go horribly wrong, and you'd laugh about it. But it was more varied. And it was a fun tower defense mode for a game, which is nominally a tower defense game, which was good. But
when Mystical and I were trying it out, I was like, okay, that didn't work. Mystical, I'm gonna try to plug the hole at the bottom. You go ahead and get the middle, and I try to put a healer on top. And he would then come in and try to, and then I'm like, that didn't work. All right, let's go back around. Let's see if I can bring in Ingrid and just blast things at the top. And then if I don't get picked off, then we can do then. So that was a little bit more collaborative in the effort that we needed to do. But I think that when that gets introduced into the global server, that will bring a little bit more engagement and a little bit more enthusiasm. All this PvP stuff is not. It's actually turning people off. And this here, when people see it, they're going to want to play it just to get a feeling of what it is about. But when they realize that they are only getting 1/3 of an ancient crystal a week and no Apex coins, they're not going to bother with it.
That's if they win. I mean, there are
That's it.
plenty of
No,
people
no.
that
So
turn
if
up, do their 20 matches, lose them,
yeah,
take the 20 for the 20 matches, and then
yeah.
thanks very much, cheers, I'm out. And there'd be another
They
load
could
who
do
won't
that
even bother
too,
to do that.
but you're only getting the 2 regular crystals and 10 shards for an ancient one, and that's it. That's all you get if
Yeah.
you just do the 20 and quit, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and
So
then
1
when it,
1/3 ancients and 3 blue stones a week
yeah.
for a minimum of 20 matches.
I admit the other thing about it is it's placed in the events tab and right at the bottom. There's nothing in game to remind you to go and do it. So they're not even publicizing it in game particularly well. It's not like it comes up on the daily challenges or the weekly challenges. Make sure you do.
Don't give them any ideas.
Anything like that. I just think if you try to sell something to people, you should try and sell it to them. Don't.
Well, you
I
hide
think
it
it just came,
behind an event which most people have completed, so they're not going to scroll down and find it. So, you know.
Yeah.
it's the same thing I tell like tourists. It's just like, okay, here's some spaghetti, let's throw it at the wall and hopefully it sticks. And I think that that's exactly how they're approaching this, because they either got tired of working on the back end, giving all the suggestions that we're giving them, and then they just said, "Nah, we'll just roll it out." It says, then we'll change it later if we ever come back to it. But it might just end up being another demonic crusade thing. It's just there, and you completely forget about it after you're done completely with it.
It won't be a demonic crusade thing, was it? That was enjoyable and nice to play.
Yeah, you know what I mean, though. But once you're completing it, it's just a visual, yeah. So that's going to be the same thing with the Tower of Deception. Eventually, after a while, after everybody clears everything, you see all these people now clearing 25 in the tower in the side of the hidden challenges, right? So next time you're just going to have to come in, gear your heroes, press auto fight. Now you're done.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be a daily grind thing where you got stuff, and the further you got up, the more you grind out on that daily. You had like 5 keys a day, and you'd constantly go back in there. But it was just a one-off.
I think they silently patched out the 5 stages a day thing, because I've fallen way behind the curve. I just, life has got in the way recently, and I've not been pushing Tower of Deception. And when I did a push, I pushed 8 stages in one day, and I was like, I'm sure I'm supposed to only be able to do 5 in a day. But anyway, so yeah,
it opens up 5 every day. I think if you just let it keep it, you'll be able to climb up eventually. I think that's how they designed it. Because in the test server, I had it completely unlocked. So it was like I could have kept going if I wanted to, if I had the time to do it all. And it didn't lock me out. And that was because already it was so far above or beyond when it actually started. So
yeah,
I think that the 5 was like, we don't want you to clear all the first time that it's open, which I don't really care. Let people complete it if they want to. So it was like Awaken Chaos Era. I remember they had a normal mode at the early mid game. It had 100 floors, and if you were able to clear them out, the next time you could just come in, hit auto, and it would just clear all over again, and you get the rewards. And then it was done. And I was like, okay, so if I have time to next push on the next level, then I'll go ahead and do it. The same thing could be done here.
just a thought back. So switching topics again. I mean, you were talking about boons and hero restrictions. I think one of the reasons they don't have you cannot bring this hero is that if one person's team is built around that hero and they don't have any other strong heroes, that Moonton don't want to say you can't play this week. They're trying to keep it open, but the only times where I've seen sort of like the hero selectors was more like in AFK Arena, when they had like a real-time arena mode, and you could pick a hero, but someone else couldn't. So there was the option there where you were selecting from a common pool, Now, maybe that would be the way to do it for the real-time arena. You go into a lobby, it pulls out a number of heroes that are pre-geared to a level, and then you challenge. But then that's going to piss the whales off because then their accounts they've spent money on aren't going to get the benefit for this game mode. But everyone else, it's fair game, and then it's strategy and luck, which a lot of these things should be based around. So.
All right, let me. I don't know if Mystical has said anything but let me counter that. Go into the Tower of Deception and click one of the boss stages or the hidden chambers. Let me counter that point that you just made. So if we go into either a boss stage or a hidden room stage, we have this particular set of conditions that we must meet to get 3 stars, right?
Yeah.
So if you wanted to make it a little bit more challenging, a little bit more exciting, what if we scrap off that they gain HP and defense, and instead it reads, you can't use piercers?
Yeah.
Or piercers do 30% less damage. That would be a counter argument. That thing there can be rotated, it can be changed. And then it would make it exciting for the population. And then if they, for that particular month that is open, if you wanted to get that third reward and you can do it without the piercers, good job. Or you did it with piercers. It's just that they did less damage than you expected them to do. So that would be my counter argument to that. But I understand that given how much time is required now to do a lot of the stuff in game, the people are just going to want to come in, hit out a fight, get it done, collect the rewards, move on to the next thing. So,
I sorry, Mystical, jump in because I'm going to make a point to Sebastian's least favorite game in a moment. So jump in and get your comment in before he goes off on a rant.
I like that suggestion from him, actually. I really like it. I've seen, in Raid, before I stopped playing Raid, they had the arena there where you could pick, you had your champions and someone else had theirs. There was a coin toss to see who went first. So if you went first, you picked this champion. The next person couldn't pick that champion if they had it, but they got to pick twice. So, and that was quite good. But I do like this system that they've already got here. I think that'd be quite good, and you could put it in, and you could put anything in there, I suppose, couldn't you? You could put, I don't know, awakenings don't work if you wanted to, or to really level the playing field. So yeah, I think it's a good system, or it would be a good system. I'm right up for Seb going in to be a dev.
Stage 25, clear condition, no Lady Alexandra. It's just a little. It would make things interesting.
Boom, you're out now. That's it. Done. Yeah. Have it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if because I haven't tried playing around whether you can do it in the same way as you can with the faction trials, where you activate it so you can pass the faction trials at 2 stars. Perfect example, Nightmare faction trial. You have to complete it with 8 fighters. So the first time I did it, I completed it with 8 fighters, but someone snuck through. So then I took one of the fighters out, swapped in another unit, and I was able to kill all the enemies. But I didn't have the win condition of 8 fighters, but I had completed it. I'd completed all of the conditions. So does that still apply here? So if I go in and tick one of the boxes and complete those 2 stars, and then separately I come in and clear the state and I increase the Jungle Master's max HP, I've completed all the conditions, but I've done them on separate attacks. Does that still count?
Oh, I don't know if that works here, because you have to have the check. Yeah. No, I don't think you can cheese it like you can in faction trials, but you can try it and see if it actually works.
Yeah, it was just a thought. I haven't tried it, but yeah, it's possible that would get you those 2. But if you did that, then that, I guess it's still because it's counting the total number here. It doesn't work. But anyway, it was.
because if we were to able to do that with that spiral during the Honora events,
Hmm.
then people wouldn't have had to try to do 12, 15 in one shot. They could have just go ahead, click a couple, clear that, collect those coins, get onto the other one. I don't never heard anything that if anybody doing that and then collecting all the coins. So I don't think it's possible.
To be honest, I have to say I think this time round my account was a lot more developed than last time, and there's been new heroes come out, which obviously make things a lot easier. But I did find it was much easier to fully clear that tower when the Honora tower than it was on previous attempts. But maybe that's just because I knew where to find the videos to guide me to get through them. But anyway.
All right. So anything else in terms of the retrospective of how far we come? Because what we have seen the changes in GvG right now.
Yeah.
Instead of being just a straight line, now we have pathing, and you have to time things and move things around. Season 8 has been a nightmare, especially in defending it. So they definitely did a good job with that. But I don't know. I haven't seen, at least from the GvG angle, the same heroes still reign in that content. Nothing has really changed. I don't think we've had a hero that just came in and just changed GvG.
No,
Maybe
there was.
it added, like CC, or you were able to do something neat about that particular defense for a week or two, but then it just fall off. So it's just it seems like the whole angle about PvP in this game, it just seems to be there is this like excitement for just a short period, and it just falls out, and there's nothing. People just gripe about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the problem with the defenders it comes down to the fact that you need defenders who have massive HP pools and either have a mechanic which allows them to stay alive, Cyrus, or they have an invulnerability state and revive mechanics such as Brockier and Torador, and Talon if you can get it to A5. Sorry, Regulus. But so they've had one new hero introduced in a year, one hero who has a revive mechanic, and you have to get them A5 in order to unlock it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, and again, then you're limited on the sort of the healers who really excel. Obviously, Eloin's very good for rage regen. They try to introduce Tallulah, but Tallulah's butterflies are weird and her healing is erratic at the best. And you still end up in this Lily, Carnelian, Ezrein, with a few notable exceptions where people use Eloin, but it's not as effective as it might otherwise be.
And then the only other thing that I have about GvG is that they recognize too that there's like a little bit of a gap right now, especially with Demon Soldiers, like Demon Soldiers levels, that people that are coming in, it's really hard for them to get to level 5 really quickly, right? So they can be able to play the game mode efficiently. But in the Awakening shop, they added all these different things. They say they increase the drop rates if you do farm and farm a lot. And then you're gonna be able to catch up a little bit faster if you're just coming into the game. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
And then within the last, I would say, 6 months, they have released a set of heroes that have a decent ability to acquire BP. So you can make those demon soldier powerful, right?
Yeah.
But, if you then decided to then invest on a Uridin or a Beelzebub just to get that boost, or maybe if you're in Forerunners and have an A5 Ma, I don't know why you would invest your crystals on him, but there's one direction that you would go to. You could then get these heroes high enough where then you can get some decent BP to make your demon soldiers a little bit more, punchable, or that they could hold up a little bit more. So what do they do to just throw things off the scale again? They release a patch notes to say, we're going to boost the lords. So whales, don't be concerned. we're still going to favor you on this. So if you have your Iovars and your Pretiuses and your Ingrids, all at A5, you're good. We're gonna make them more powerful for you. So it's like you threw you know, a little bit of candy to the early mid game players, but then you completely flipped it and said, no, we're gonna keep the same separation, that same spread that we had between the pay to wins and the low spenders and the non spenders by just boosting the Lord affiliation that this demon soldiers are getting.
I just
And not only
spotted for the first time that the soldiers get a different affiliation bonus to the demon captains. So this
Right.
is lightning guards behind me. They get a 1.13 Lord affiliation bonus, and more gets a 1.12. Now I know that's a small amount, but it is they are changing the mechanics on how things are affiliated between the different levels. Now I wonder if
in the battlefield they get an additional boost as well. So that is just the affiliation outside of it, right? Just the extra stat boosts that they're getting from the outside. But once you're getting into the battlefield, they're getting an additional boost on top of that. So, I mean, that is and then the other change that they made is to keep the whales happen is if you get them to level 7, you're gonna get intense amounts of damage reduction so they can stay up a little bit longer. So it's like, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the really the discussions are in this development room or this conference room I have that they just like, okay, we're gonna make him a little bit stronger or make him a little bit more accessible, allow these players to make him stronger. But on the top end, boom, let's just even scale let's scale the throw the scales for the pay to wins a little bit more.
Yeah. I did joke before Season 8 started that Season 8 would be the season of the Scourge, and I think this has the... If you can get a level 7 one round some of those corners, yeah, definitely.
Yep, you just have to build the wall and then have the Scorches just go through, and then hopefully they do the damage that you need them to do, or pick off a platform unit or two. And this map, because you have, you know, kind of put things a little bit packed, it can't happen. I've seen it done. Yeah.
Cool. I think the only other thing was from last year, we were talking about variant gear, forging, and gear management. Now, gear management, they have made a lot of steps forwards. They've given everyone a lot more storage in the last year for storing their gear. It's now up to a maximum amount of 1,700 pieces of gear, I think.
Yes.
No, 2,000 now if you have a fully awakened Pantheon. And they've worked a lot on the filters and the tech and the presets, which have made life generally easier for everybody. And the ability to upgrade and the closet and everything. They've made this easier to manage, and you can upgrade. As we were saying last week, you can upgrade straight from here. And
yeah, so this feature has not been introduced to the... I don't know if it's in the global patch notes yet, or I haven't really scanned the global patch notes, but I don't know if this is in the global patch notes. But I know here in Forerunner it's just popped up. We didn't even get an announcement on it, but this makes it a lot easier to do Tales of the Smith, I'll tell you that, because you can just clear out whatever junk and then roll pieces that you want to try. So yeah, so at least this part of it, yeah, thumbs up. They did a phenomenal job with this. And if I remember too, I think at around that time is when we just had the enhanced level, you know, the quick levels introduced as well. So you didn't have to wait for the boom, level 12, level 13, level 4.
The amount of time you spent waiting for it to go up,
Your recommendations is possibly one of the best things they've added in the last year.
Definitely.
Absolutely fantastic. You know, to put your thumbs up on it, personalize it to your account is absolutely stunningly good. And now they've added that little bit at the bottom where there's
the essentials,
the
essential attribute. Yeah,
I think that's I mean, why they released it without having put that in, I don't know, but Yeah, I think that's arguably one of the best things they've introduced in the last year. Absolutely fantastic. That.
Yeah.
Well, Mike put it best when we had him a while ago, and he said it's like what you do in software development all the time is you throw out the product, you know it has bugs or that there's something that could make it better. So you hold that stuff back and then you throw it onto the newer version and then say, here's what's good about it now. Go ahead and use it, upgrade it. So essentially, I think that that's what Muntan does here is, okay, we know this thing needs to be worked on. So let's just throw this at them for now, and then we'll change it as the other. And then we can put it in the patch notes and say, yes, we were listening to you. Here, you can have it.
So you're saying that basically this live service games are basically a series of scrums of varying durations.
Yeah, you gotta have something for the next patch. Yeah, exactly. So we're not gonna
it's
give
all working to start with, and then at a meeting, what should we cut out of it, and what minimum version should we give them?
Yep. That's how it goes.
I've got this horrible feeling you might be right.
Okay. I mean that was pretty much a review of where we were in a year. That's how far we've come in the year in terms of those sort of core elements. Obviously, we've had some great episodes through the year. I think the episode we did with Win the Grey, where we talked about bounce heroes, unfortunately a mechanic which is really difficult to use in the end game now because the devs have a problem with a certain hero who is basically ruined everything because of her rage regen mechanics.
This goes back to the beginning. I mean, when you're
Yeah.
talking about heroes that kind of or that made the game easier or complicated things for the devs, it was Laurel. It's Laurel at the beginning, and now we have a Ferssi problem. So it's not something that they're getting away with. And I think that a lot of it might be because of the limited amount of heroes that we have. Because other games might not, well, it depends on the game. But other games that have a vast amount of heroes, 300 plus, they don't have this problem where you're relying on one hero for everything. So, I mean, if you're talking about hero, Laurel, yes, in the end game is the whole bounce thing. They've increased, like they're penalizing you for redeployment. You have to wait an additional 15 seconds or 30 seconds before you can bring them back in. So you can't really use them for that. What other hero that I think that they did dirty is Dolores. So they give her the exclusive piece of gear, so she's a little bit more dependable. And then what did they throw at us? Dao-chan.
Yeah.
Boom. Dolores is out. It doesn't matter if you have her piece now. You're not relying on her unless you're in the early game or mid game. If you don't have Dio-chan for some reason, so then you're still relying on Dolores. But for those of us who've been playing for a while, we're using Dio-chan for everything. It's not Dolores anymore. So especially if you have her A1. So that's another hero that they did dirty. It's almost like we're trying to make him not use epics. We want him to chase the legendaries. It's essentially what's becoming to.
Yeah, and actually, I think
the epics should be able to do the job, or at least a version of that job.
Yes.
So it's just, I mean, I think they went back to your meeting. They had Dio-chan there and went, "Can we make an epic version of her and make her weaker and not give us much gear?" And that's the one they released. And then they've done the steps forward to Dio-chan again.
Well, and for example, there are two epics that are supposed to be able to lay poisons like crazy to set up a legendary. And I was like, this looks good. But then they come back on top of it and they release a hero, a legendary, that can do it much better, do damage. And you're like, well, I'm not going to need these epics if I can get this legendary into my account. And then Numera can do what she does best with that. So it's, it's like they're teasing people like, okay, here are these epics that can kind of do the job, but you really want these legendaries if you really want to progress to the end game.
Yeah, I was just thinking of legendaries who have been done dirty. I mean, you've obviously also got Dahlia, who's kind of she's based around the poison mechanic, and she doesn't really, and because she's ground only, she's really limited in what she can do. Especially with poison in its current state. Now, how she'll work with the new poison meta, whether she's going to gain an additional faction to try and make her more user friendly with them, I don't know.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it if the next banner she comes back in, she's an esotericist.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that what was unique about her at the beginning was her range, or the extension that she had, right? And then we had Ingrid. So it was like this here. This was like at the time, it was like, this is unique. How are we going to be able to use this? And so this is where, GvG came into play, and then they introduced AMR. So we kind of had an understanding. Oh, okay, I see how this type of heroes can be used with the flowers and trying to lay in the slow and the poison. But yeah, I mean, she definitely, at least from utility, has decreased too in the end game. You don't use her a whole lot, and you can't do like neat things in the Void Rift anymore because now we have the instant battle clear unless you're doing the boss battle. So you can't really play around with stuff like that anymore, right? It's like, where do these heroes excel if you're in the end game? Well, I can't use them anywhere if things are auto cleared or anything like that. So you have to really evaluate as to what heroes you're going to go after.
Yeah, I mean, I still grumble about the auto clear in Void Rift.
I'm still waiting for the toggle. That's one of the suggestions that I made. It's just make that like a toggle on and off, if you want to auto clear your stuff, because I can see the benefit of both of them.
I was surprised they released it like that. Someone must have thought, we're not going to see guides on this, or people are going to want to do it, or they're going to want to test out new heroes. I'm surprised that when they designed this, no one went, actually, we are going to need that functionality. Or does that give something for the player base to moan about now that they've got an easy fix for later?
And that the funny thing is,
development board again.
Yeah, well, but the funny thing is when somebody asks you, okay, so I'm at this stage in the Void Rift, I can't really clear. How did you clear, or what would you suggest? And I'm like, send me a screenshot because I don't even remember them. I have to go back and look at it, right? Or give me an idea of what the layout is, and then I have to go back and remember. Oh, okay, so I think the pathing of the monster says here, and then
if you do drop by the Dragon Slayers community and go to our channel on the Void Rift, we do have in the pinned comments most of them, with the exception of the Selene maps, already in a PDF format where you can just download and have a look at.
Oh, download a PDF to do all this. Yeah, I didn't really appreciate the loss of the Void Rift there for a while, but that was a very good area to test some of these heroes sometimes, and now we just don't have it. So, but and then of course the other big change, I guess we have to talk about it, is Abyss 1, the new, the boss level. They changed the mechanic, physical magic damage. You can't do both simultaneously now. And at least at the moment, is hero dependent, and we see that with the banners being thrown. So eventually down the line, I am expecting something with Aelin and Ferssi, because it's going to be in an analytics that these heroes are persistently being used for this content. So something is going to come down the pipeline with those two. Who else is somebody that's being relied? Torador is being relied a little bit, especially with the Nightmare comp. And
I'd like to go for a Watcher comp because I think Regulus is actually a more effective defender because of his bubble.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the moment, I'm stuck with a Nightmare comp because I can't get my Ingrid to do what I need to do without the magic resist down that you get from Solkadens. So I can't
Yeah,
get Vulcan to cycle fast enough.
For at least so how everything that I've from everything that I've done or analyzed, and I've been able to encounter even before it has either come into Forerunners or it has come into the global server. I I think I have that feeling right now that as it stands right now, the whole deployment of Abyss 1, Arena 3.0, and what's coming to be the Honors Gauntlet, it's a massive failure on their part. They just played it wrong because every piece of content that, or at least with this, the Arena and Abyss, I knew it was going to be hero dependent. It's like if you don't have these heroes at these awakenings, you're not going to be able to really get the top or get the max out of it. It's content that is steered to a particular player base. And now with Honor's Gauntlet, the ways that it's coming in, there's just nothing in it that is rewarding to even do it. So this is where you and I were discussing last week is what is propelling this rush for them to force all of this out as it is right now and not really give it a thorough thought as to how it's being developed. And in the future is what is then is this a major point of concern for the next year where we're going to it's going to switch from we're giving you the hero ahead of time so you can clear the content to here is the content now here is the hero that you're going to need to chase for it and here's the 20x banner that you need to go if you really want to be able to compete in this. So this is where I am right now in that for me anyway, it's kind of in this purgatory. Yeah, and so that's why I kind of got away from the game for a little bit over the last week. Is am I getting that sense now that this is going to be the push that we've seen from other games that they've done it into the year 3, year 4 of just making content that is exclusively for the whales and then push that? Or are they really going to care about making content for everybody?
Yeah, I guess we will have to see. Obviously, I said around the time of the anniversary that Elowin would drop off, and there was the reason not to get to vote for her skin. Didn't matter. Everyone voted for her skin because her skin had been previewed, and everyone had an idea of what they might get out of it. But I think this is just what you're saying. There is stuff coming down the line. It's going to be even harder, and they're going to try and drag people to buy those heroes that are required to get it. And the hero with the shiny skin is just going to sit there spinning in your account because that's about all you can do with it because you don't have content where you can use it because everything has been power crept past it. Unless you've gone out and you've wailed for those heroes. But it's meant through these games.
You're hopeful for Denny then? When she gets her rework in, a month's time, is it?
Well, I mean, I'm assuming on Forerunners we'll get it slightly early so they can do some testing in a live environment to see how people are using her. But
ignore what anyone says.
I mean, Mystical brings up
goes.
With the buffs of some of these lords are getting, but I don't think that they're going to be immense buffs that are going to say, okay, now these heroes can be used extensively here. I think that they're just doing it. Some of these heroes, they're just kind of increasing their utility so they can at least catch up to do something in the late game. So if you pull an Elder, it's like, all right, at least, early game, mid game, I would tell people don't be disappointed because he can actually be a good hero to use to clear content. But if you get him in the end game, it's like, where am I going to use him?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that the way that they're going to answer that is by introducing new lords, just like they're doing with Nastia. For the esotericists, I'm expecting something for the northerners because they're going to need a boost. And I don't know. We'll see what else comes down the pipeline, but uh, I foresee a bigger push coming into the Ancient Portal, and even though people are happy about the 20x, given the amount of heroes that are being released now, I don't think 20x really makes a difference anymore, or it won't make a difference. Uh, People are still going to be griping about the rates. And so all of this is going to be, continuous evolution. It's just that I hope the evolution doesn't turn into just a money grabbing ploy that they're trying to do to just milk as much as they can because their analytics is showing that the game is not gaining as many users anymore as it did during the first year.
On a more positive note, we will be here as long as we can. We will keep doing this because mostly we enjoy the game. We find some things which are frustrating. But yeah, we're going to keep coming on. We'll be airing our opinions and being as honest and truthful as we can in a way where I'm not bound by an NDA, so people can come on and talk freely on my channel.
And I think that this is what I want people to recognize too is I know that my pessimism sometimes or my ranting sometimes can wear thin on people, and this is why I ask Arturos to bring in other people because they can give a different opinion on it. I am more of, okay, here are the red flags that I'm seeing, so I'm bringing it out. Arturos is going to be the one that, yes, but here's the positive thing about it, and that's what I appreciate about him. That's why I think we make a great pairing out of it. But when we bring in somebody like Mystical or Mortal Mike or Prospector, they probably have different views on it, that something that I might not be seeing or something that I might be omitting, or but overall over the last year, I think that there have been a lot of positives in the game. It's just, for me, the last 2 months have been a little bit disconcerting as to how they've been approaching business in their end. And like I told Arturos, I don't know if this is because they had to put US players on a different app, and then they had to then redo all those numbers again, just that they can show viability when it comes to trying to pull in investors or trying to bring in money for development. And so we'll see what happens in the future.
Hopefully, we will continue to have more people like Mystical who come on to put up with us talking over them, and get Morton Mike on who talks over me, and just keep having fun with this and keep trying to keep the game as fresh as possible and keep these as entertaining as possible. And as ever, we'll do our big GvG sessions, map reviews, which tend to get the biggest views on my channel. So.
Yep, well said. Just we'll keep going. We'll see how we can evolve the program. And as always, please do support Arturos. Do hit like, subscribe button, and share. That's the bigger thing. So if you have a guild, Discord or something like that, just feel free to share. So at least we can get some eyes. I know the podcast versions are usually not everybody's cup of tea, but I think that there's a lot of information that we can give you here, especially a heads up type of deal like Connor's Gauntlet. So take a benefit from that, and you get to meet other content creators that you may not have met before.
Okay, Mystical, any final words?
No, not really. Just like Arturos said, make sure you hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Make sure you share it out. It is good. And if you're like me, I just generally put this on in the background somewhere while I'm running around the house. Just turn the volume up a bit and have it playing in the background for an hour or so. It's nice, easy listening, isn't it? Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much, mate. And we will see the rest of you in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.